everyone. We are live now. We're a little early. I actually did put a reminder out, and I tweeted it early so that people would actually be here. Nobody's actually here yet, so it doesn't matter that I got it before I was like, wait, is it recording?
Who are you trying to impress, Kristen?
I'm trying to impress me. I had a whole nice setup thing, but, things happened, and so that didn't happen. But at some point, I'm going to have, like, a little intro video for us before we actually start. I'm going to try that shit out.
Yeah, you put way more effort into your shit than I do. We just discussed that offline.
I like shit to look nice.
Yeah, well,
which is why it always bothers me when I do my videos here, because the lighting is shitty.
It's just you're so glorious.
That's totally it. It's not that the light's fucking right there. It's also an orange light too. It's not even like natural lighting colored.
I just pulled up the video because I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat for us as well. And right underneath it is the movie review we did earlier, and the thumbnail is literally you doing this.
I don't know when I did that.
I think you're like, and then this happened or something.
Oh, I'm the second person watching. It's like you have two viewers, and I'm like, oh, one of them is me.
And one of them, I'm watching you, you're watching me, and
we're watching each other. Fantastic. We are super popular. All right, so we are going to talk about NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2. I have a question though, because they did a little segment at the beginning of the show talking about where were you a year ago?
And half of them weren't there.
Half of them weren't there. Wasn't NXT Brooklyn before WrestleMania?
No. NXT,
was it always before SummerSlam?
No, NXT Dallas was before WrestleMania because WrestleMania was also in Dallas.
When was the first NXT Brooklyn?
Last year.
Brooklyn.
Last year, the day before SummerSlam.
Was it? Has it always been before SummerSlam? For some reason, I had it in my mind that NXT.
They paired it up last year. They paired it up because they got the Barclays Center, and they were going to do NXT, and then they were going to do SummerSlam right the next night. And then that SummerSlam, they announced that they were going to be doing that pairing for the next 3 years at Barclays Center.
You're right. That's totally right.
Everybody made the comparison to Staples Center because they did SummerSlam at Staples Center for like 7 years.
You're right. That's right. For some reason, I sat there and go, it wasn't a year from like NXT Takeover Brooklyn was in, but you're right. That makes total sense. Anyways, half the people weren't there, and a lot of them were like, I was wrestling for some craptastic place somewhere kind of thing. Except for Bailey, who was like, yeah, I was fucking winning the NXT Women's Championship and bringing.
I do think it was kind of badass that they let her be the final voice in that video package, because everybody's like, I'm going to take over Brooklyn. I'm going to take over Brooklyn. I'm going to take over Brooklyn. And she's like, I'm going to take over Brooklyn.
Again.
I like that they're trying to make Bailey a badass. It's not exactly working, but I like it.
I like what they're doing with Bailey. I feel like it's a little bit different than, because, it'd be very hard with her character to make the same, like, underdog story, like, every time.
Main roster ready.
Exactly. So, at some point, like I've always said with Rey Mysterio, at some point, when does the underdog character not the underdog? How many championships do they have to win before they're not the underdog anymore? Granted, that's not the exception with that's not the thing with Bailey.
Daniel Bryan bullshit. Anyway,
exactly.
Speaking of Rey Mysterio, I'm glad you brought him up. Did you see the picture of Rey Mysterio that I tweeted out a while ago?
Where he looks like he's like injecting roids straight into his muscle systems? Yeah.
He's on whatever chemical compound Bane was on in friggin'.
Exactly. Not Bane in like the newer Batman movies.
No,
like
Bane
the one that in the cheesy Batman movies with the button right here, and that Bane. Cheesy Poison Ivy team up Bane.
Creepy neon Poison Ivy steroids in the back of the head gimmick there.
Exactly. That is. I'm so glad you said that. That is fucking what it looks like.
That's why he's got the mask.
That's what he fucking looks like. He looks like all he needs is a button right here that you punch, and he like juices up more.
No. The gimmicks come with 10 times more power. If Preston was still relevant in the YWC, he'd be raging right now.
Oh God! Yes, I did see that picture. To answer your question, I did see that picture.
Okay, let's stop talking about Rey Mysterio and start talking about awesome shit.
Let's talk about Austin Aries versus No Way Jose. I didn't see the pre-show. Was there anything on the pre-show of note? I think there's just a lot of talking.
There was a lot of, okay, it's a typical WWE half-hour pre-show. Like, there's, okay, here's something, side note for tomorrow night. The pre-show for SummerSlam is 2 fucking hours long.
I will not be watching the pre-show for SummerSlam.
Oh, come on, Sheamus.
Yeah, no.
You and Johnny Thunder are going to, like, sit there on MySpace and watch the Sheamus match. But anyways, I will say that the trio that they had at the table for the pre-show, just doing the, like, leading the discussion type thing was pretty cool, because it was Lita, Renee Young, and Mauro Ranallo.
Well, I think something I don't remember what the article said, but something happened to Booker T. Like he got sick or something happened to Booker T. Because there was an article floating around about it.
I know he's gone in for, like, recently he's gone in for surgery for something, but I think it was just, like, compounded, like, years and years and years of injuries type thing.
I think that's what it was. But yeah, there's a reason Booker T wasn't actually there. But what is that guy's name that is now like the voice of SmackDown? He just has that.
Mauro Ranallo.
He just has that Jim Ross quality to it.
And you know what? He's so
everything he says makes you excited.
He's got the Jim Ross quality that even the stuff that sounds corny doesn't sound corny coming from him.
Mm-hmm.
I will say.
That's what I'm saying.
I will say there was one great moment in the pre-show, and it was just a funny thing because it's been a year now since Lita has been on the NXT pre-shows. And I think she adds a little something to the NXT pre-shows, which is cool. Renee Young can do no wrong in my books. So they were kind of joking around. It's like, hey, you know, your first pre-show was at Brooklyn last year. It's our 1-year anniversary. And the two girls high-fived each other. And then they're like, Mauro, did you get us anything? Mauro Ranallo, serious as fuck, sits at the other end of the table. He's like, I got you me. I got you the gift of Ranallo.
Oh, nice. I didn't see that. That's fucking hilarious.
And then Renee Young's immediate response was, I think I have the receipt somewhere.
Oh, they're so funny. So I didn't watch a lot of the pre-show, but and they did show a lot of the video packages that you then saw in the NXT Takeover. You know, I've always said this, even when WWE wasn't good, whoever fucking does their video package is just amazing because their video packages are always great. I remember what year did WrestleMania, was it Miz versus John Cena for the WWE title? I know that was a long time ago.
Wasn't that long ago? It was WrestleMania 27. Highlight of my life. No.
And I remember the video package they played for the Miz, and they had this song.
Yeah, You Can Hate Me Now.
Yes, You Can Hate Me Now, and
it's so
Miz just had this amazing fucking video package. And after the video package was done, I was like, "Where the fuck is that Miz been this whole time? That Miz."
You know what's kind of cool? That's I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the first time he had the inflatable awesome across the top of the stage.
That is.
But I will say, I don't so much watch the video packages on the pre-show because, like you say, we're going to see them again like before the actual matches happen. I do think genuinely that WWE is taking a leaf out of the book of the YWC in a certain point of view. Because if you watch, like, okay, you and me and whoever else joins us for any pre-show, be it OK Fave or Guapo or whoever, we come up here, we do a video, we talk about it, we analyze stuff, but really just like the act of talking about stuff gets you more excited about, or whoever's watching us, be it, you know, Cheney or Angry Mark or whoever, right? Them watching us talk about it gets you hype. When I sit there, I don't want to watch the video package. I want to watch Renee Young and Lita and, you know, like you say, Booker T, Jerry Lawler, whoever. I want to see them give their 2 cents because that conversation is what gets me. That's the purpose that it serves from my perspective. The video packages are there and they're great, but you're going to see them later on. I want to watch the conversation. Even though it is WWE propaganda and hype and bullshit and whatever, it still has that, if somebody's talking about it, it's important. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I know what you mean.
But yeah, no, it was good. Like you said, the video packages are there. You get to see a couple people arriving to the arena, which is always bullshit because they've been there all day. Like,
yeah, those were filmed at 8 o'clock this morning when they got.
Or they went outside with their bag again, and even if they're doing like a live somebody arriving, it's like, yeah, they just maybe re-arrived or they got asked to go back out to the parking lot
and walk back in, kind of thing. Yeah. So enough about that. We'll let's talk about first match of the night. No Way Jose versus Austin Aries. A lot of people were just like, whatever about this match. I felt like it was still a good match. Aries got the win, which I feel like
we'll talk about what happened after the match, right?
Yes, we'll talk about after the match.
In the match, I'm sorry, this might make me like the bitter, jaded wrestling fan. My whole thought, the whole match was Austin Aries deserves so much fucking better than this.
He does, and I feel like when we talk about after the match, he's headed that way. But I do feel like he's kind of stalled in NXT. He unfortunately came in about the same time that a bunch of these fucking other people did.
Specifically Nakamura.
Yes, specifically Nakamura, which I've been told that I'm wrong for thinking this, but it's an opinion, so therefore I can't be wrong for thinking it. Shinsuke Nakamura just doesn't do it for me. He's weird. We'll talk about that part later.
We will. But no, I think there was
Austin Aries is the entire package, and he's the entire package not because he's a great actor, but because he's just a douchebag, and he just is a douchebag. Like, that douchebag character that he's playing is...
I'm pretty sure that's really him.
That's really him. That's just... He's not acting. That's how he is.
I'm pretty sure that's really, really, actually him.
He's like a hipster douchebag. He is. Do you follow him on Twitter? I don't know if he's joking around on Twitter or trying to stay in character or whatever, but he's like a hipster douchebag. He talks about vegan markets and shit like that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but he's one of those evil hipster douchebags that I listened to this stuff before it was even popular. Those kind of hipster.
Oh, I hate that.
He's that kind of hipster douchebag.
He's that guy that listened to that band before everybody else. Or in the wrestling context, he's the guy, you guys are all followers. I watch Bryan Danielson and ROH. Derp.
Oh my God. I was just thinking about that during this pay-per-view. I'm like, NXT is the new ROH. Because I remember about, let's say 2010. So that's 6 years ago at this point. If you want to be hipster douchebag, smart mark wrestler fan, you were like, well, I watch ROH, guys.
Yeah, and now you do it with NXT. But you know what I love? And I know you and I have talked this to death on multiple videos. I love the people that are still trying to ride that imaginary wave of, oh, fuck you, man. NXT is so much better than WWE. It's like...
They're the same.
NXT is a WWE... It's like if you're not necessarily a female or a feminist, but maybe the other way, and you say, Total Divas is better than WWE. It's like it's a WWE product. CWC is better than WWE when it's a WWE product.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that, too, in a little while. But Austin Aries versus No Way Jose. I feel like this was just a match that we needed for Austin Aries to get a win.
I'm so glad because No Way Jose is newer, and I figured, okay, NXT is always great at putting the newer guy over, which made me really nervous in this match, a lot. I get what they were trying to do with No Way Jose because here's this guy, he's a fun-loving guy, sort of like Kofi Kingston before New Day type thing, but then Austin Aries pissed him off, and it's like, hey, here's this, lovable, happy, fun guy, but when you piss him off, you better look out. But even throughout the match, while he's trying to be pissed off, he still goes back to like the happy-go-lucky, carefree mannerisms, and it's like, you know, when you're a kid and you play with the light switch and you try to see what happens if you stick it between off and on.
That's what it is. Yeah.
That's a horrible metaphor for what he was doing all match.
I will give this for the No Way Jose character and just how NXT deals with it in general. WWE is usually really bad about comedy gimmicks and how you can't take comedy gimmicks seriously, like at all. Like your Santino Morella's, or your at one point New Days, that kind of thing. How it's hard to take them when they are in kind of a high stakes match. It's kind of hard to take them seriously. NXT does a really good job of, even though they have a happy-go-lucky character, they have what is essentially a comedy gimmick or a lighter gimmick. How when the big moment match comes, you can still take them seriously as wrestlers, as a competitor. They do that very well with Bayley. They used to do that very well with Tyler Breeze.
Comparison between Bayley and No Way Jose.
Yeah, well, you know, you're right. I shouldn't make that comparison, but
they better
understand what I'm saying.
They better repackage No Way Jose if they want me. One of his finishing moves is a wind-up baseball punch.
Yeah, it's not good. Let's talk about what happened after the match.
Okay, I'll give him as much. He's athletic as hell for his size.
Exactly.
I will give him that much, but I don't care.
But you don't care.
That's
let's talk about what happened after the match. We had the return of Hideo Itami.
Well, we had the beatdown on No Way Jose after the match.
Yes.
So, you know, and it went out too long. And this is what I like about NXT. Even the stuff that's predictable, I don't mind. Because as soon as the beatdown started going exceptionally long, you knew somebody was going to come out. And
Hideo Itami comes out, finally making his return after being gone for fucking forever, it seems like.
No, he's been back in the ring week to week.
Has he? Has he been back?
He's been back like 3 weeks, and it's kind of cool because they're sort of spotlighting a couple people from the Cruiserweight Classic on NXT, and that's who Hideo Itami's been facing mostly. And it's really neat how they're sort of like he's starting, like he's not going for a title right away, so he's got to get slowly easing back up into his stride, and it lets them highlight the Cruiserweight Classic at the same time. So good matches with no real story, but don't really need it. So here now we know what he's doing going forward.
My one issue with the entrance of Hideo Itami during especially the Austin Aries match is I feel like Austin Aries, this happens to him every single time. And if you go on WWE's YouTube page, they do a backstage interview with him where he essentially cuts a promo saying as much. And as soon as he said it in the promo, I'm like, he's right. That does fucking happen to him every time somebody new debuts.
Austin Aries is the Dolph Ziggler of NXT.
Go ahead.
He really is, because he's the one that came in. He never really got to be new himself. He immediately went into that role of making other new people look good.
Exactly. As soon as he debuted, he had the Baron Corbin shit. Then somebody else, I think, did it to him too. Wasn't before
Apollo Crews.
Yeah.
Which was
we had No Way Jose do it. Now we have Hideo Itami doing it. Like, everyone just seems to fucking debut right after his like victories.
Yeah, not glorious.
So hopefully,
but I will say,
change,
because we've been waiting for it since Hideo Itami's first debut, and he's apparently been teasing it on house shows like crazy, and everybody was going to make the CM Punk comparison anyway. He finally pulled off the GTS, which just made me smile like the biggest asshole smile. And I'm like, you know, so many people are tweeting CM Punk right now, and it's like, on commentary. I don't know what was said by Tom Phillips, but basically, friggin' Corey Graves, who's so great at being an asshole as well. Of course he did the GTS. Don't you know he invented it?
He did invent it. That is true.
That's so fucking good.
Oh, we have a third viewer. We're not by ourselves today.
We're not by ourselves today.
We're not by ourselves. There's one other person. I have no idea who they are.
They're not even. The chat is quiet.
Well, you have since you do it regularly enough, you have a staple like people that always show up to your fucking videos. I'm way too sporadic.
We had an audience for the movie review earlier. You know what it is right now? Wrestling Jesus, Chase Oliver, and OK Fabe are all doing live streams right now.
Oh, fantastic.
So there goes our audience.
I don't care. I just like talking about wrestling. So what did we have next? Was Gloria next?
Billy Kay.
What?
Ember Moon versus Billy Kay.
Ember Moon. I don't have the card in front of me, guys, because I have to have so many electronics running just to have a stable internet connection that I couldn't.
You got a lot of. Never mind.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring an extra thing to have the card in front of me. Ember Moon versus Billy Kay. Not a huge fan of Billy Kay. I feel like she's quite generic, but
I do like what they've done with her character. It's so cut and paste, it's ridiculous. They gave her like one token match on SmackDown. I think she got destroyed by friggin' Becky Lynch or something like that. But then she went back to NXT. It's like, don't you know who I've been? I've been on SmackDown. You can't talk to me like this. That's how she got this match.
That's funny. I wish I had seen that.
That's how she got the match. She stormed because they were advertising the debut of Ember Moon, but that was all they were advertising. And then she went to Regal, and she was like, "Don't you know who I am? I've been on the main roster, and I can't even get a match on your Takeover." And he's like, "Fine, you can face Ember Moon in her debut." That entrance though.
Which let's talk about the debut of Ember Moon, and holy shit.
Yeah.
She's like, and you've been way harsher to Naomi than I have, but I didn't realize how. And okay, so this is totally gonna make me look racist because I'm comparing a black girl to a black girl, but she's like Naomi if Naomi was like good. Like she looks not like Naomi a little bit. She has the same like hair as Naomi and everything.
So you're saying against black girl hair?
But like.
This is going to go real well.
Whatever. It'll be me instead of you this time.
Yeah, it's not a fun ride.
But yeah, I don't
you're not allowed to speak out against Titus O'Neil either because black wrestlers matter.
See,
but we like Ember.
If you would just stop talking, you would have no heat on you.
But I like Ember Moon.
Ember Moon is great. I like her whole look. I like the red contacts. I like her attire. Like I like the whole package. It's so great.
Not like okay, and I hate to play the replacement game, but they don't really have like a mythical character on NXT anymore because they lost Finn Balor. She comes out, and I don't know what her gimmick is exactly, and I think I like that I don't know, but it's kind of got this like half vampire, half warrior vibe. And I like it, and it's just different enough that it doesn't take Finn Balor's place, obviously, but it means we have that element in NXT again. The fact that she's got the red eyes is fucking amazing. Even like the whole like Guapo in our preview said she looks like something out of Mortal Kombat. I wouldn't exactly go that far.
I'd agree with that a little bit.
I will say this, like this is going to go back a ways, and this is a bit of a stretch, but the way she comes out with the hood all down and her face all wrapped and everything, the whole
mask,
deal, and then there's the slow reveal. It made me think of Taz, like how he used to come out with like the hood and then the towel over his head, and whatever, staring out. Even when he uncovered, like he wasn't really looking around. He was just like sort of that zeroed in focus. And that top rope stunner though.
I was about to say that top rope stunner though. Oh shit, that was so good. Man, there's an echo on your end.
It's what?
I'm echoing on your end.
Okay, I don't hear an echo, so.
Well, that's good.
And I will say, while all the focus was on Ember Moon, Billy Kay didn't look horrible in this match. She was out there being the stuck-up bitch that they've made her out to be.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But she didn't go out there and get squashed. Like, she held up her end of the match, and I think
that's another good thing about NXT. It's Guapo in the comment section watching the video. Hi, Guapo. So I forgot what I was saying. I don't know. I don't get the Billy Kay thing, but I do like that in NXT, when they have like a debut match that's clearly like a jobber match, clearly like a you need to make this person look good match.
It doesn't look like a squash.
Yeah, it's not a squash.
Here's what I think, and this is, I think you and I can have this conversation because you and I talk about the women's division a lot. The one problem I have with NXT is there's always like one or two women on top of the division, and those are the ones in the title picture, and then like a bunch of other ones that aren't doing anything. When I'm a fan, like right now you've got Ember Moon, who just debuted, so she's going to be on top for a bit. You still got Bayley. I'll get my thoughts on that in a second. You've got Asuka, right? And then under them, you've got all these other women that I really like. I like Deonna Purrazzo. I like Aaliyah. I like Liv Morgan. That new girl, Nikki Glenncross, that debuted this past week. The Daria Marinado, who comes in with like the whole like MMA fighter gimmick. There's all these girls. They've got more enhancement girls that they use as enhancement talents, I should say. They don't really put anything behind, and they're great. But they're like, here's 6 people trying to make 3 big people look good, and I think that part of it needs to change a little bit. They need
I feel like it's going to, because we just lost a lot of people. We just lost a lot of the women, especially to the draft. We'll talk about the Bayley thing later, but we're probably going to lose Bayley sooner rather than later. There's going to be a vacuum.
I at least want to see Liv Morgan get bumped up, because I don't think she's necessarily the best by far, but I think her character is a lot of fun. I think she has a lot of connectivity to the audience. If you watch NXT the past couple of weeks, she gets a hell of a response from the NXT crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they could do a lot with her, and I think there's a lot of women that WWE has convinced are all enhancement talents. And like I say, the enhancement talent outnumbers the talents that they're pushing, and I think that's something that needs to change. But I think it'll be a change for the better, and especially if what we think is going to happen with Bayley happens, they're not really going to have a choice.
They're not. Somebody's going to move up. There's going to be opportunity to move up at some point. What is the next match, Spaz?
I will say though, before we go to there, we could get another interesting thing, because what they're doing right now with the Cruiserweight Classic, the whole idea of outside talent, international talent, tournament style thing, I've heard that they are doing one for women next year. Similar stuff.
That would be great.
I think it would be great too. People are saying that they want it to be a women's tag team tournament, which could be interesting, but do it for the women first, and then do women's tag team later on, because women's tag team you're creating a whole new dynamic now. The WWE.
A lot of people have always talked about making a women's tag team division, especially when the Bellas were still very big, and their whole gimmick was that they're sisters and they kind of team together and whatnot. There's a big for a little bit.
They always have tag teams and women's like groups and whatever, but never a title.
Yes, and I've never agreed with having a women's tag team titles, just because in WWE, especially on the main roster, there's never been enough women, I feel, to justify having a tag title. And TNA tried to do it at one point. They had a women's tag team titles, and then they slowly kind of like tried to make you forget that they had them, especially around the time when ODB and Eric Young won women's tag team titles. And that was the problem with them, is that there wasn't enough women to have a tag team division.
But see, here's the thing though, right? And this is where I have to be very specific about this. I'm kind of opinionated on the matter. Even if you had like quote unquote whatever enough women is, like say like enough women would be a 30-woman roster. Let's just say.
I would say you need 4 tag teams to have tag team titles minimum.
Right. But here's my point, though, right? People say you need to have enough women. So let's say enough women is 30 women, right? You still have to completely change your dynamic, because I would hope if they had a women's tag team division that they would then go out and scout women's tag
teams. Yes.
Because they exist. It wouldn't just, I would really hope that they would not just take a gigantic roster and be like, okay, you and you are
pairing people off.
You are a team, you and you are a team.
I feel like that's what would happen with WWE because they already do that with the men in some aspects. They're getting better about it,
Hey,
but they
Breeze
already
Angle
do
are
that
gonna
with
be
the
tag
men.
champs. Breeze Angle are going to be tag champs. I like. They're good.
Nah. All right, next match.
The next match was glorious.
We had Bobby Roode debuting finally. I'm just happy that they finally made use of the raised platform that Bad News Barrett was using for the longest time. It's been sitting in storage for however long, and they're like, fucking finally, we can use this thing again.
That entrance, though.
I will say that Bobby Roode has made a bigger impact here in one match than he did in his entire TNA career.
You said impact.
That was planned. The pun was planned.
I don't believe you. But I think it's great. Like, there was no light except for on the platform, and then when he was done on the platform, and then even when he was in the center of the aisleway, they like waited until he gestured before his like Titantron went up. And then he waited for the spotlight in the ramp, and then he waited for the spotlight in the ring. It's like, yeah, that's right. There's my spot. Fucking, I don't know. I would love to know the story behind why they didn't carry over his It Factor name from TNA, because I don't necessarily say I want a carbon copy over a gimmick, but I think that was really a big part of what his character was, like the whole It Factor. He is like all the intangible things that make a great wrestler. Because I'm sorry, before it was announced that he was coming to NXT, back when TNA was a relevant thing, and people would say, like, who from TNA do you want to see fight who in WWE? My thing was always Bobby Roode versus Triple H, because I think he's a player on that level.
I find that funny that you say that, because I don't remember who posted on Twitter. It might have been Triple H himself. There is a picture of Bobby Roode with the robes and everything doing this, and a picture next to it of young Triple H in almost the exact same attire.
Yeah.
Very young Triple H. No beard, baby-faced.
Yeah, like before he was Triple H, when he was just Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yes.
When he was
he had the French gimmick.
Well, I don't think he was French. He was just a snob. They tried to make him a French character in WCW when he was Terra Rising.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah. But no, I just think, like, there's so many similarities. Like, they can be silly. They can have fun. Like, Triple H can go, like, cut a DX promo at the beginning of Raw and, like, smash your head in with a sledgehammer at the end of Raw. Like, they can make those turns on a dime. Like, you talk about intent. We're going to talk about the main event later on. But you talk about two guys that can ramp up intensity and physicality out of nowhere. I think Bobby Roode and Triple H, before Triple H gets too old, Bobby Roode and Triple H have to have a match somewhere.
I think that'd be a great match. Who did he face? I don't even. Oh,
Andrade Cien Almas, who's
dude. That dude can fucking fly. That dude can fucking wrestle.
I don't care, but we run into the No Way Jose problem again. Like, I don't care. Like, they're trying to throw the gimmick out there first and then make me care about the wrestler, which doesn't work. And I know I sound like I'm being nitpicky again, and I hate that because it's NXT and we love NXT. But
yeah, how dare you say something negative about NXT?
I'm trying to appease the YWC 101 students out there. I wish they had brought him in with less hype, which is an odd thing to say. I wish they brought him in with less hype. I wish they brought him in with like sort of a downplayed gimmick and ramped up the gimmick as he climbed the ranks, because he's not somebody that's going to be going for the NXT title, at least not right now.
Sorry, we actually have like 4 people in our comment section now.
Guapo, Strife 19, long time listener, first time live stream. That sounds like such a joke from the Taz show. First time, long time shot in the yam bag. And Ian Israel.
Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us. They came at the right time. We're the ones that started early, so we're actually the assholes.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they also follow at least one of us on Twitter.
So. And by we, I mean I'm the asshole, because Spaz couldn't physically start broadcasting.
I thought you were going to say Spaz couldn't physically be an asshole. I'm like, I fully can. It's just not my channel.
No. He fully can. He just didn't have the capability of, following.
Come on, bring up Naomi again. I'll show you I could be an asshole.
Oh, no, let's not. Let's go ahead and go to the next
somebody else's asshole, I'll tell you that much.
Let's go ahead and go to the next match. Yay.
Rude is good. I really hope that pump handle slam isn't his finisher. Because that was kind of anticlimactic, but it doesn't matter.
Kind of like the Bailey to belly.
You know what? It's a fun move, and she's a fun character. But he's like super intense guy. Even in the later portions of TNA, when they were having him use the Death Valley Driver and calling it the Rude Bomb, he still did it in a way like he launched himself and his opponent in such a way that it was impactful enough to fit him. The pump handle slam, it was a setup move that the Road Dogg used to use. So, like, let's draw that comparison for a second. Give him a better finisher.
Yeah, but I've been saying that for a bunch of people for years.
I remember he put the sharpshooter on Earl Hebner one time at a house show that I was at when TNA did.
That won't happen. The only people that are allowed to do sharpshooters in WWE are Hearts and The Rock.
And Cesaro.
And Cesaro, but he was tag team with a Hart, or with a married into
you're drawing a very squiggly line. Also Sting.
You can only do the sharpshooter if you're at least 3 degrees away from Hart or The Rock.
Or if you're anybody facing any Canadian in Canada ever.
We're sorry, okay? I'm sorry that doing the sharpshooter, you guys are really sensitive about it.
You guys are assholes.
You guys are really sensitive about it.
You guys are assholes, and you're about to elect an asshole, and we're gonna laugh at you.
No. If I could do anything about it, we are not gonna elect an asshole.
I saw the greatest thing. This is not wrestling related at all, but you remember hearing about the Rob Ford stuff here in Canada, I'm sure. And he was big old clusterfuck. He's on crack and all this other shit. He eventually passed away, which is kind of
we have nothing to say about that.
No, I saw a thing, and it was like, they always get these great pictures of Trump when he's like in the middle of talking, so he always looks like he's doing duck face.
Yes, it's always a horrible picture of him.
But the caption on the bottom was like, hey, America, remember when you laughed at us for Rob Ford? You laughed so much. And that's all it says.
Now you guys got a suave young dude that's y'all's prime minister.
Yeah, apparently you guys think our prime minister is eye candy, so
he is. He's fucking hot.
Right.
He's like white Obama. White Canadian Obama. He's a young, cool, hip dude.
So are you saying Canada got the white chocolate?
Yeah.
Are you making a snow joke? Are you being snowist?
Snowist? We're moving on now. We're not going to talk about politics.
Hey, at least we don't have Olympians in Rio pretending to get mugged by the police.
Hey. That's Ryan Lochte, and everyone knew he was an asshole beforehand. He was an asshole last year.
Here's my thing.
He just needed to do something to remind us that he's an asshole. I already knew that Ryan Lochte's an asshole.
I don't watch the Olympics. I am morally and theoretically against the Olympics. And even I've been reading up on this asshole.
Ryan Lochte has always been a douchebag.
I don't know this.
You know that guy that goes to the club and he's like got like the color. Have you seen The Hangover?
Yes.
He's Bradley Cooper's character, except more douchey. That's Ryan Lochte. He's a douchebag. He's a douchebag that's great at swimming, but he's a fucking douchebag.
Is he the Tony Stark of the Olympics?
No. Tony Stark would never dye his hair that color. You know who would? Douchebags. Moving on.
In my younger days, I had blue hair. I can't say anything about anything.
Yes, you can have that color hair when you're young, but dudes that dye their hair that color.
What color is his hair now? I don't even know. What are we talking about?
I don't know. We're talking about NXT. Moving on. So we had Bobby Roode.
You got guys peeing on gas stations and saying they were mugged by the cops. Let's talk about wrestling instead.
Exactly. Okay, what's the next match, Spaz?
A lot of people are saying match of the night, Revival versus Gargano and Ciampa.
Oh my God. So this is the first time I've really gotten a chance to see them as a tag team because I miss a lot of NXT.
Gargano and Ciampa?
Yes.
Nice.
And this was a great match, and it's a great reason to watch the Cruiserweight Classic.
Well, not really, because only one of them is in it now.
Well, I mean to go back and watch the whole thing.
Oh my! Have you seen the match between the two of them?
No, but they did a lot of clips for tonight, and I'm gonna go watch it.
Go watch it. Go watch it.
That's what I'm saying. If it's half as good as this tag team match was, then I need to go watch it. They faced the most boring gimmick tag team in NXT, which is still fathoms above the most boring gimmick match in the main roster. But still,
I will say, as much as I shit on the Revival, they are good in their role. In that Gargano and Ciampa, I guess they're played up as the underdogs because they just fought against each other. There's always the chance that they could have dissension among themselves.
I totally thought they were that there was going to be a turn.
But no, like you could see it as like the two of them going up against a brick wall. And the Revival, because they are technically sound, they did play that brick wall pretty well.
I have nothing against their physical capabilities, their wrestling capabilities. They are great in the style that they wrestle. Their gimmick is just boring.
Yeah, the thing is, like, their gimmick, I find what they're trying to do boring, even though they're doing it well. And that's...
it's like somebody building a model train set. Like, it's very intricate and detailed, and they're doing it well, but it's really boring.
But I don't care, and I'd rather put like, burgers on that table.
Or Bob Ross. They are the Bob Ross equivalent of a tag team. They are really good at what they do. It's just kind of boring.
I don't know who that is.
Bob Ross was a painter in the
Oh, is he the guy that's like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna
put little happy trees and happy like clouds. Like he's that guy with the fro.
I didn't know that guy had a name. I thought he was just like a meme character.
No, his name is Bob Ross. He was very popular in the 90s.
He's real in real life.
He's not real anymore. He's passed away at some point.
And he's real in a box somewhere.
They are the Revival is the wrestling tag team equivalent of Bob Ross.
At least we're not going to get the like white paint drying versus white paint drying that we were getting a while ago, which was the Revival versus Blake and Murphy.
Oh God, Blake and Murphy.
They fought.
I don't even know what comparison to make to them.
I'm really glad. You remember when they sent up Enzo and Cass and left Carmella in NXT? I'm really glad that they did the opposite with Blake Murphy and Alexa Bliss.
One of the people in the comment section, Ian Israel, asked, "Why do so many great athletes / wrestlers come from Canada?" Spaz.
Well, you see, because we got bigger junk and we're better at shooting the ladies with the love gun, and we just spawn better. Like
that is a horrible narrative for that. Why couldn't you be like, well, it's fucking cold outside, and most of the time you do wrestling inside, so...
There was a joke that Jerry Lawler told many years ago on commentary that I still remember to this day because he hated the Hearts, and Jim Ross was talking about him being like the old Bret Hart being the oldest of 12 children and whatever. He's like, why is that so great? Why is it so great to be the oldest of 12 children? You know why? They got nothing else to do up there in Canada in their igloos. They got nothing else to do, and it's really cold, so they got nothing else to do but make a bunch of 12 children.
So what we're saying is that there's nothing else to do in Canada but fuck.
And then you got to think Stu Hart had sex.
With that image, let's talk about the tag team match some more. I didn't think they were gonna give it to.
Oh, so many times. Okay, here's what I will say. Right, I don't like.
I thought the ending was shitty.
No, I think it was all right. because they gave us the false ending and they kind of crushed my hopes, and then it's like, okay, now they're just batting cleanup type thing. The ending of the match, I don't like the result, but I was yelling at my TV when the match ended. And the fact that they got me that into the match that I was that disappointed means they did their job. I got to take, as much as I don't like the Revival, I got to take my hat off to all 4 members in this match because they did fucking phenomenal. I will say, it's not a finisher. It's like a mid-match. It usually happens at about the midpoint of the match. Johnny Gargano's slingshot spear is awesome. They don't really have a finishing move because they just do that double super kick thing, like the super kick sandwich or whatever Corey Graves called it.
Super kick sandwich.
He came up with some stupid name for it a couple weeks ago, but then they didn't use it again, which is probably a good thing. But the slingshot spear and that sort of cradle into the rolling kick thing that he does, that's actually virtually right out of the WWE 2K16 video game.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have Kalisto do it in the video game. Their signature moves in the middle of the match are great. They need a tag team.
If they're going to keep them a tag team.
I hope they do. I hope they go to the main roster as a tag team.
I like their finisher. I like the double super kick. I thought this was match of the night. Not by a huge
and again, this is where I got to go with, I don't like the Revival, but the Shatter Machine is a great tag team finisher.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even, I will give credit where credit is due, it's even a great name for a finishing move.
Too bad they couldn't think of a good name for their tag team, because...
Well, it is, because after a Revival match, you usually need to be revived, so it is a good name for them. What about American Alpha with the Grand Amplitude?
I'm okay with that. What is our next match, Spaz?
Bayley versus Asuka.
This was one match I was kind of afraid of. It was a very good match, but nothing's ever really going to live up to Bayley and Sasha at the first NXT TakeOver Brooklyn.
I don't even think it lived up to their first match, like the first Bayley.
Exactly.
Great.
And by the end of this match, definitely after Asuka left the ring, it's very clear, I feel like to me, that this is Bayley's last match in NXT.
This very much got the farewell treatment. If you watched NXT after the draft, you sort of saw Alexa Bliss have her last match and put somebody over. You saw American Alpha have their last match and put over the Authors of Pain. You saw the Hype Bros have their last match and they put somebody else over. Like, they all put somebody else over on their way out the door, which is the way it should be when you're leaving, right? Go back to the old territory days when you were moving on to a different territory. You put somebody else over so that the company could continue. But not only that, like, you remember Ian Israel in the comment section said poor Izzy was crying. Yeah.
Well, she'll have to start going to SmackDown.
I will say, when they shot the pin, the winning pin in the match, or the winning submission in the match, whatever, the way they angled the camera, you could see the front row, and you saw Sasha and Becky and Noelle Foley all crying in the front row. This was her last match at NXT. That makes it real. And they do the after thing. Like, even after what her and Sasha did last year, which was fucking phenomenal, and nobody's going to touch it for a good long while. When, not even at Barclays Center, but when they had the rematch the following, when they got to main event, and they had the match and whatever, and Triple H came out and the entire roster came out and they gave Sasha Banks the flowers and whatnot. It had that feel. When they stay on and let the, Bayley lost. It's Asuka's moment, really. But Asuka left the ring, left Bayley in the ring. They had that goodbye moment. If this does not lead to her going to the main roster, then they shouldn't have done that. I agree. Because we've been trained as wrestling fans to know what
that means. What those kind of interactions mean. I believe she's probably going to be moved to the SmackDown roster. I think since they're probably going to get a new title sometime soonish.
It should be there by September, October. You got to remember, September is the first SmackDown specific pay-per-view.
Yes, that's probably when they're going to introduce it.
Apparently, we're getting 2 SmackDown pay-per-views in a row because Backlash and No Mercy have both been announced. So I can see them establishing the tag team titles at one pay-per-view and then establishing the women's title at the other pay-per-view. I don't want them to do it on the same night. And I think we talked about this when we talked about SummerSlam. I'm glad that they're not doing it at SummerSlam. Hello. I don't have to ask how your cat is. I'm glad that they didn't.
Trying to keep her off camera all night, but she's just decided, fuck it.
Okay. But we said in the preview of SummerSlam, I'm glad that they're not creating the women's and tag divisions like right away on SmackDown, because in that case, you'd be pulling 3 belts out of thin air instead of 1 with Balor and Seth Rollins. And I think that deserves to feel special, and that creation deserves to feel special, not on a night where like 3 titles get created. So I hope they keep that going and they establish 1 title at each show. You know what I mean? Like do the tag. There's only 6 tag teams, so do a one night like 3-match tournament type deal, but then like maybe drag out a longer women's story to No Mercy would be the way I do it, because the tag teams need to do something, because fuck, they're in a 12-person tag match at SummerSlam.
Are they all? That's true. You're right. They are in a 12-person.
Did we not talk about this?
No.
Nope. They added 2 matches, or they added 2 matches and changed a match for SummerSlam.
Well, yeah, because Eva Marie
suspended.
And if what I've heard in the articles posted, if are true, and that's why she's actually got suspended, then it's kind of a bullshit reason. I'm not a huge fan of her, but it's kind of a bullshit reason why she got suspended.
Oh yeah, no, you have to separate it out. Like, you can not like her, but you can still recognize that she's getting fucked over. I did a video on this over on my channel. Anybody wants
yeah, I saw that one.
You did. Anybody wants to check out my video, go check out my channel, Spaz Phoenix. It is what it is. But if you got, like, technically that is a violation to do with your wellness. But like the way WWE does it, they drop half the truth to punish their superstars, I guess, because they know that if they just say Eva Marie violated the wellness policy, 99% of us are going to say, okay, she was doing some recreational drugs, or she was on steroids or performance enhancers or whatever, when it's a paperwork violation.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't have like a report in time or something. Like, that's, even if you don't like Eva Marie, that's shitty.
From what I read, she has a prescription for Adderall. And WWE requires you to disclose all medications that you're taking, and she didn't turn in that paperwork in time, and that's why she was suspended, because they found that she was taking this Adderall, she hadn't disclosed it in a timely fashion, blah blah blah.
Kind of shitty. And
so it's kind of a bullshitty reason. I can understand that it's a bullshitty reason, even if I don't like her. But let's get back to NXT. How did you feel about the match with Bayley and Asuka?
It's weird because and you're gonna laugh, so I'm giving you permission in advance to laugh at me for this. When she came out and her outfit wasn't all colorful and shit, I thought back to NXT and how she was trying to be like a little bit more of a badass and whatever. And I thought, okay, she's not coming out all colorful. I don't know. Did she do the flaming?
Yeah, she did. She even had some behind the ring. Like, when she got to the ring, like 4 of them popped up behind the ring.
I didn't see those. I was like, there's no way they're turning Bayley heel.
No.
And like dropping all that color out of her attire could be something that they would do if they would turn her heel. But they didn't exactly do that. She, predictably, and I do like this because Asuka is what Asuka is, she got her ass handed to her for about the first half of the match. And then she came back and she pulled off some pretty good stuff. I like Corey Graves is great on commentary when he brings up stuff like this. When he's like, she's trying to trade strikes with Asuka. You really don't want to do that. And then she actually does it, and he corrects himself. He's like, no, maybe that's what she needed to do. Maybe she needed to get over the fear of those strikes and try to strike back and try to play Asuka's game. Corey Graves, he's the heel commentator, so he'll make like some braggadocious statement. But then if the babyface in the scenario proves him wrong, he goes back over it on commentary again. I mean, like, he's burying himself to put the talent over, and I think there's not a lot of commentators that do it as blatantly as he does. And I think he's being directed that way, but it's a pretty selfless way of doing commentary. So I got to give Corey Graves a lot of props for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this match also, we kind of predicted that Bayley probably wasn't going to be a two-time women's champion. We all thought it's time for Bayley to move up. She's probably not going to win the title again.
Sure thing that Asuka was going to win. I said what happens in this match is basically going to let us know if Bayley's moving up or not.
I thought that Bayley was going to move up. I didn't think she was actually going to win. My question to you right now, who do you think Asuka goes up against next?
I hope they keep her and Ember Moon as far away from each other as possible.
For now.
I think right now, like we said before, we're going to have to bump one of the ones that have been treated like developmental talent or enhancement talents up. They've got the Daria Baronato chick who's like really built up like to look like like they're trying to give her like a Ronda Rousey type feel. I don't know whether I like that or not, but I can see what they're doing and I can see how it could be effective. You got to kind of give her a throwaway opponent because she's just had this really grueling match with Bayley, who we tried to get to the one-on-one like mano-a-mano type of I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Like an equal for her, right? So when she goes on the next couple of weeks in NXT, somebody who's totally not been established as her equal yet should step up to her and get her ass handed to them, just to be like, this is Asuka and she's a badass, just in case you forgot.
Yeah, so, just in case you forgot.
Just in case you.
I had a friend. I think you might have seen him before. Our buddy Ruffin.
Yes.
Posed the comment that maybe Asuka shouldn't lose. Like maybe she should somehow like when they decide to move her up, to the main roster, if it's sooner rather than later, how she should not lose and move up to the main roster as continuing to be undefeated. I've seen what your thoughts were on that idea.
I could see it. I mean, if you're going to do that, that has to be the way they promote her when she comes up to the main roster, which they could do. The only problem with that is, how can I say this? When they moved Paige up, and Paige won the Divas title back when it was the Divas title on her first night against AJ, which was kind of bullshit, but whatever. And she was holding both belts for like half a second, and then William Regal came and said, or no, it wasn't William Regal, it was JBL at the time.
Yeah, it was JBL at the time.
Who said, I'm really sorry, I'm happy for you, I'm happy for you being on the main roster, I'm happy for you being Divas champion, but you can't uphold your duties as NXT Women's champion, so you have to relinquish it, rah. They would have to do the same thing with Asuka, which is fine, except you make life really hard for whoever the next champion is, because whoever the next champion is didn't beat the last champion. So they have to get over that you're not really the champion because you didn't beat the last, because there is that vibe. Like when Seth Rollins got injured and they did the tournament to crown a new champion and it ended up being Roman Reigns, and he came back and he cut his promos and whatever, rah, you're not really the champion because you didn't beat me. It worked because there was truth to that. And I mean, the women, all the other women other than Bayley and Asuka and Ember Moon now in NXT already have that they're a step down feel to them. So I think adding that element onto that, it doesn't do a favor for what you're leaving behind. It gives you a great stepping stone to go up onto the main roster, which would be fantastic. For her, it would be fantastic.
But for the next person, it would be a detriment.
Yeah, it's because you're starting a title because virtually you're starting a title from scratch again. And
what they could probably do to alleviate that What you could probably do to alleviate that is have a tournament.
You can have a tournament, but it's like, here's the okay. How can I say this? You've got everybody, and then you've got Asuka, who's the champion. So you got the champion who goes over here now, and whoever is next isn't the champion. They're just the champion of all the people that weren't champion. You know, and I'm not saying that that's the worst thing in the world, and I'm not saying that the right superstar couldn't get that over. I'm just saying it makes for a very hard road creatively. Not impossible. Not impossible by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a hurdle to get over.
Sorry, I didn't phase out. I had a lot of windows in front of, and I was trying to find the screen.
I thought you were reading the chat.
I was reading the chat, but I also have a lot of windows open, so then the screen for the actual like hangout was buried behind windows.
And I will say, Kristen's #1 fan, the Angry Mark, has finally joined us.
I already said hi to him.
And you're still the queen, apparently. So there's that.
What happened after? What match was after Asuka and Bayley?
I will say, like, whether or not she's leaving, the moment that she had when she got a chance to go around and thank everybody, she got to go see Foley and hug all the when she went and hugged Bayley, or sorry, when she went and hugged Becky and Sasha, and the crowd cheered. And then she went and hugged Charlotte, and everybody's
like, boo.
Everybody's like, boo. And she's like, yeah, I know. And then she went and hugged Izzy because Izzy was fucking destroyed.
Well, she'll have to start going to SmackDown now.
Okay, but SmackDown, yeah, anyway. I don't think Izzy has enough money to be traveling week to week to week. That kid's going to be in therapy when she grows up. Because her whole like childhood life is her on live television crying.
She'll be fine. What's the next match?
She'll get royalties out of it. There's going to be an Izzy t-shirt eventually. You know that. It'll be on WWE Shop next to the El Torito shirts.
Oh, no. Why'd you do it like that?
It is Zorito.
No. Not on my show. Move on.
I didn't go there. I didn't. I'm a good person. Izzy is Bayley's mini-me, says Ian Israel in the comments.
That's just true.
Yeah, and then we had the main event. Oh, I will say, fuck you, Triple H. Because Triple H, friggin', for all of us that are watching the Cruiserweight Classic, cock-teased us all so fucking hard when he's like, here's all the guys from Orange County Choppers. Now, the last thing that the guys from Orange County Choppers did for WWE was the WWE Championship fucking belt. So when you got the guys from, I'm wrong, Spaz? Okay, whatever. So when you got the guys back from Orange County Choppers, you figure he's gonna unveil the Cruiserweight Championship belt.
They're not. They're going to do that on Raw. I knew they weren't going to. I knew they weren't going to reveal belts.
No, big ass fucking Naomi's silver dildo looking trophy in the.
Why'd you have to add Naomi in there? That had nothing to do with her, man.
They probably store it for them. Anyway.
No, you did not get away with that comment.
I just did. It's ugly. It's an ugly trophy.
It is an ugly trophy.
The winning gimmick.
I love how they had the West Coast Choppers guys, like Orange County Choppers guys, design the trophy.
They designed the WWE title belt.
Did they?
Yes.
Did not know that. That makes a lot of sense.
Fuck out of the videos. I think it was like back like last year's like Night of Champions or whatever. They didn't their entire opening thing of what it means to be a champion and all that. Basically, the entire opening montage was like video shots of the guys at OCC making the WWE title belt. It was.
I totally missed that part.
The trophy is fugly.
That trophy is fugly.
Angry Mark says hashtag the silver dildo.
It is an ugly, like.
Okay, Angry Mark. I know she's your girl and all that, right? But take my side for a second. You saw Naomi debut on SmackDown this week. does she not look like a retard that wasn't even smart enough to get into a rave?
That is the worst thing you could say. Come on now.
Answer me in the comment section.
Don't do it, Angry Mark. Don't give him the satisfaction.
No, video is on pause until somebody backs me up on Naomi.
Whatever, I'll keep talking without you. All we have left is the main event.
Oh yeah, no big deal. Just the main event, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I can talk about and already garner the hate for the fact that I still don't. The Shinsuke Nakamura gimmick or character still doesn't make any sense to me. It's still weird to me. Though the entrance with like the guy on the violin, I thought was really cool until he had to like fucking dance around the dude. That was kind of awkward.
I think they just lingered on it too long.
They did. It took way too long. It was awkward.
I do like the fact. Thank you very much. She looks like she spent the night at a sleazy hotel and then somebody put a black light on her. Anyways.
Oh my God! I know what attire you're talking about now. Oh yeah, you're right. It's not a good attire.
I thought you were gonna say you know what hotel she was at. I'm like, that's a little personal, but
no. I thought you were being overly harsh when you were talking about her, but you were not.
The shit that she's doing now, where she looks like a rubber ball.
She does look like she's like an extra at a sex club.
I can't agree with you, Spaz, because my queen said so.
Sorry, I agree with Spaz now. She looks like the extra in a porn movie.
But who's gonna fuck her? Plus, she's got the trophy stuck up there.
Why'd you make it weird?
Actually, no. With her ass, she probably isn't a cruiserweight.
Hashtag Spaz made it weird.
Spaz made it weird like several years ago. One thing I do like about NXT is that they don't go over the top like WWE with their entrances, but they always add something a little bit cool. Like when Naomi is a fluffer. Nice.
Let's move on from this conversation.
I'm trying to. Our friends in the chat are being a bad influence on me. I was a nice boy once. But anyway, when Asuka came out and she had the big fucking banner thing that like was like the whole length of the aisleway, that was a cool thing. But it wasn't overly done. When they wanted to do something a little extra for Shinsuke's entrance, just having the guy on the violin made it Spaz for Prime Minister. Ian Israel, are you actually from Canada? Like, is that a thing? Anyways, but they did a little thing. Like, they added the guy on the violin, and it was just a little touch. Like, they don't entirely, like, blow up the entrance like WWE does, where it's almost too much sometimes. They're very good at subtle tweaks. And I think that's sort of like the key thing with NXT, and I think that was really cool.
How'd you feel about Shinsuke winning the title? I know we're jumping to the end, but
I don't want to sort of. Dude, you haven't been a nice boy since I've known you. Oh fuck! Stripes 19, is that Rob? Are you Rob? I just realized that. Is this Rob? Is this the tall somber fellow?
The tall somber fellow?
This just became not a YWC thing for a second, if this is who I think it is. I totally blanked on the name.
Anyways.
Yeah, I do like it for the same reason that I like Asuka retaining her title and what I think it means for Samoa Joe.
That you think he's moving up? I don't think he's moving up anytime soon.
He threw a challenge out to Brock Lesnar for WrestleMania 33.
Yeah, that's like...
Okay, let me ask you something right now. Concerning the rumors that have happened so far this week, who would you rather see Brock Lesnar face at WrestleMania? Samoa Joe or Goldberg again 13 years later?
I would rather not see Brock Lesnar face anybody, but that's because I'm not a fan of Brock Lesnar. But if I had to pick from those two, I'd pick Samoa Joe. But I'd be terrified the whole time because every time Brock Lesnar faced somebody that I actually like, I'm terrified that he is going to hurt them. Because Brock Lesnar is going to hurt somebody. He already did to The Undertaker. Granted, The Undertaker is old, so, you know, it's a little easier
You got to do it like I did.
But Brock Lesnar is not a safe wrestler.
You got to say it like I said it in my video, guys. I love The Undertaker, but Undertaker's old.
But Undertaker's old. So, you know, I can't blame Brock for beating him up too badly because, you know, Undertaker's old. But Brock is not a safe wrestler, and he is going to injure somebody badly. I keep waiting for that moment in the match where he glazes over and forgets he's in WWE and goes straight into an MMA fight.
Can we talk for a second about how in an interview with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, they asked him about the Conor McGregor stuff, and he's like, "Who? I've taken shit bigger than him."
That's probably not far from the truth.
I don't watch UFC, as you know, but I watch some of the Conor McGregor shit, and I'm like, dude, you're little. Some of the guys in WWE probably could kick your ass.
Some of the women in WWE could kick his ass.
Okay, who's the tougher Irishman, Conor McGregor or Becky Lynch?
Becky Lynch.
No, but seriously, like, put freaking Conor McGregor in the ring with Mark Henry.
Mark Henry could hold him in place.
Put Conor McGregor in the ring with Apollo Crews.
I'm not sure. I feel like Apollo Crews is too nice.
Put Conor McGregor in the ring with Cesaro.
They're in the comments. They're talking about Cena kicking out at 2. Even with Nikki.
I will say some of the interviews that he's done leading up into his fight and talking shit about John Cena have been pretty funny, though. The referring to John Cena as the 40-year-old fat failed Olympian.
John Cena? Has he ever even tried out for the Olympics?
No, I'm sorry, I misquoted. Not Olympian, failed Mr. Olympia.
Mr. Olympia. Okay, that makes more sense. John Cena's nowhere close to being fat, so
no,
I will say graded insults at that point.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I just sort of sit there and laugh because you know what he's doing, but at the same time, it's like
he would make a great WWE heel.
That's what he's trying to set up for. Like everybody's saying that he's worried about losing to like whoever he's facing.
Maybe he is.
Sure, let's go with that. And that like once he's done with UFC, like once his UFC career goes in the toilet, he's trying to set up a secondary career, like by starting some shit with people now. Like he's talking shit to all the current wrestlers right now because these are people he could work with if he ever went over to WWE. But he's kissing ass to all the legends because there's no way he's going to fight a Ric Flair or a Hogan. And he's kissing ass to Triple H and Vince McMahon. He keeps calling them all Dons, which is getting really annoying. Yeah, the McMahons are all Dons, you know. They got all the money and they got all the success and whatnot. But give me somebody like a Ziggler or that fatty John Cena. I'm like, that fatty John Cena. Wow. It's like even, okay, you remember me at my height of like my John Cena hate, the big, huge Cena Apocalypse video that got me so much attention back in the day. Even then, I wouldn't have called John Cena out of shape.
John Cena's never been out of shape.
Because I was going to say, like, I may not like the guy, but I said this in my own video. You probably saw it. But, like, John Cena's a lot of things. But as a physical specimen, like, you can't really touch the guy.
These are all true things. Let's go back to the NXT main event just real quickly because I'm wanting to wrap up this video.
Talk about Samoa Joe's jaw.
Yes, I think he actually did hurt himself because they showed Shinsuke with the title and they kind of brought the camera over to Joe and you saw what looked like the ref doing the X.
Definitely.
And it was kind of out of screen and then they immediately shifted away. So I think Samoa Joe actually did, if not break something, definitely hurt something in his jaw.
He couldn't close it. Like you saw him trying to close his mouth, and it was like after the first strike, he was like he spent the rest of the match with his jaw like sticking out.
It could have been knocked out of place. It could have been like dislocated.
That's bad enough.
Yeah, that doesn't feel good. It's not.
People are tweeting that there were teeth on the corner of the ring, and that people were quickly like trying to not only knocked out his jaw but potentially knocked out a tooth.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
so I guess we will see in the coming. Guapo is talking about how he thinks he dislocated his jaw.
I will say, whether you like Samoa Joe or not, and I do, if he did anything close to dislocating his jaw and didn't stop the match right there, how can you not respect the guy?
That makes me wonder if the match was supposed to end how it did.
Yeah. But see, here's the thing.
I don't know that they would have made that kind of judgment call that quickly, because it didn't end immediately, but
Well, there was a moment, like, you'd have to go back and watch it again, and only because I, like, watch things almost too much. After the first Kinshasa, there was a noticeable pause in the match. And
where he kneed him in the back and then did a second one?
And when he did the second one in the back, but when you see him do the second one, like, you can tell he's sort of, like, whatever the kick equivalent of pulling your punches is, you could tell he wasn't quite in there as much. But, I mean, here's the deal. If he injured himself and if that caused them to change their plans on the fly, like say he was supposed to hold the belt for like another month or two and then lose it to Shinsuke, and they had to fast track that because of the injury that happened tonight, publicize that story all over the damn place and use that to hype up how tough he is and fast track his push to the main roster then.
I agree with that.
Like, there's no sense in him going away, recovering from a broken jaw and coming back to NXT. Because nobody's going to, even if you like Joe, nobody's going to like Joe coming back and taking the belt back from Shinsuke.
I don't know. I don't know what the plans are. I don't think that Joe's going to move up anytime immediately, but you never know. Because I feel like the main roster is a little bloated right now as it is.
I think it's a little lopsided. I think they could use somebody like Joe on SmackDown to balance out the rosters a bit.
I could agree. I could be on board with that.
Originally, they were saying they were going to shift Kevin Owens over, but if this thing with him and Jericho is going to be a thing, then I guess he's staying where he is.
All right, so that was NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2. Pretty good pay-per-view.
I won't say, oh my god, this was better than last year, but it did
definitely not.
Spaz looks like a porno director today.
Let that simmer.
I'm sorry, Angry Mark. I don't know what is it because I'm wearing a hat. Is it
He's wearing the hat because it says gimmick on it.
It's okay. You guys know I plug the Taz show a lot. It's the hat from the Gimmick Clubhouse. It's the Taz show hat. Also, if you watched my preview video for SummerSlam, being drunk was Guapo's gimmick.
It was Guapo's gimmick. All right, Spaz. Everybody in the current comment section knows who you are, but in case somebody watches this video tomorrow and doesn't know who you are, tell them where to find you.
YouTube.com/C/SpazPhoenix, Twitter @SpazPhoenix, Instagram @SpazPhoenix, Facebook.com/SpazPhoenix. Don't put me into Google Images. You might see my junk. Anyways.
Well, that's just a weird thing. I would also like to go ahead and point out that Guapo's been talking all night, even though he was like, oh, I can't do the podcast because I'm got to go to bed early. And yet you've been here the entire time, Guapo. So thanks for that.
Okay, being a spectator is a lot easier than being on the front line like us.
It doesn't matter. His excuse was that he was sleepy and he was going to go to bed.
Okay. Calm. Slow your roll. I'm agreeing with you.
I woke up.
I saw a great thing, and you're going to hate this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like when somebody's arguing or somebody's getting really excited, some people use the expression "calm your tits." That's a thing up here. Anyways, so
I know what "calm your tits" means. Go ahead.
Calm your tits, whatever. So I read a thing online that was like, if you don't want to be as rude as saying "calm your tits," just politely suggest that they undo the calamity in their memories.
Hashtag dad jokes.
Fuck off.
Okay, so
Go,
that's gonna be it for the night. Wow, we had 6 people in there. I'm excited about that. I know it's 6 people, but I'm excited that we have this much activity in the comments section.
You do realize that 3 of those people are Yumi and Guapo.
Don't care.
We had 3 people. Ian Israel, first time, long time, right?
So I think that's gonna be it for tonight. We're all gonna head to bed now.
Seeing as in my video, you threw a random question at me, I'm going to throw a random question at you in your video. If I decide to drunk review SummerSlam, are you in?
That's tomorrow. Possibly. But I do have to work on Monday.
If you guys want to see Kat and me drunk review SummerSlam, go on Twitter, tweet one of us, and use the hashtag #AddTheCat.
Yes, do that.
Add the cat. Or tweet both of us with the hashtag #AddTheCat. That's how that's going to go.
All right, guys. I don't have a fancy outro like Spaz does, so I'm just going to say thanks for coming by.
I thought you were going to try and do it.
Nope.
Like Guapo.
Guapo's not here. I am never going to try and do it.
You probably know how it goes, though. You've watched enough of my videos. You've been in enough of my videos.
I could try and do it, but I'm not going to, because that is your thing. You can find me, if you guys don't have my Twitter, at BlackCatFeline. It's also in the description of the video. And I think we're going to say goodnight now. Also, because my computer's about to die.
Okay, good night now.
Night, guys.